By most people's definitions, a Rolls-Royce is a higher quality car than a Toyota Camry. And by most people's definitions, they'd be wrong. Seth Godin flips the whole idea of quality on its head, and once you see it this way, it changes how you think about every product, service, and offer you put into the world. That's where we're starting today with Godin's This Is Strategy, chapters 121 through 160. Welcome to the Leadership Lounge. Welcome to the Leadership Lounge Book Club. I'm Chris Duncan. I'll be joined today by Alan Edwards, Shannon McCoy, and our guest host, Jay Jacobson. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
If you're watching us live on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook, we can see your comments. This is new to us, this book, so go ahead and leave us some feedback, ask some questions, and leave a comment. The good news is this week that I am not running the chat, so we should have good luck if you actually leave a chat if somebody's seeing your chat. Those who left a chat last week, you know who you are. Thanks for trying. Alan is back in charge, so things should be much less dramatic, and I appreciate you, Alan, running the mouse. Anyway, if you want to join us live next week, let us know through the myriad of social channels that are available to us. Email as well works. Just let us know that you'd like to join us live, and we will get you online. If you want to catch up on chapters, want the weekly reminders, or need to know the link to the shows, whatever, it's all at sedaris.com/book club. That's CDAERIS/CD. See, even when I'm not running the producer stuff, still it can't go in a straight line. We have to go crooked somewhere. Sedaris, that's spelled CDAERIS.com/book club. Alan, please take it away.
All right, my job is to tell you the rules of book club, and I have a cue card for this. All right, the first rule of book club: we always talk about book club. Easy peasy. In fact, my friends are getting sick and tired of it. I read this book in this chapter last week, and it was, yep, that's what I do all the time now. So this week we covered chapters 121 through 160 of This Is Strategy by Seth Godin. The assignment: come ready with your favorite chapter and your least favorite chapter, and of course, you must explain why. We'll talk about all sorts of other stuff as well, but that's kind of the assignment to get us started. And we're going to start with Shannon today. But first, I want to give a word from one of our sponsors. And again, I have a cue card for that as well. I did not think about how difficult it was to do both. Yay. If you're an MSP and you know who you are by that term, and you want to stop sifting through resumes and start building your team, MSP Hire is for you. Get the right hire the first time. MSPHire.com. And thank you, MSP Hire, for sponsoring us. So, Shannon, what was your favorite chapter and why?
Well, I'm going to have to say that my favorite is, well, it's kind of a 139 and 140, only because I had never heard of this term used in any way in leadership and business, the need of a scaffolding. I'd never heard of that before. This was unique to me. And I thought what was interesting about it is how it's basically, he's illustrating this as a support system. When you're thinking about a strategy, thinking about how to support people and to have them to support you. And it was, so I liked it because it was unique and I'd never heard it before. And I wanted to hear his analogy. I would have liked to have him delve in a little bit more on it to explain how we could apply that in a practical way. But I did understand the concept, which could be a pretty deep concept, to think about how you set up a strategy so that others you're thinking about the future and how other folks will help you in this within the different systems. So that's why I picked that one.
Scaffolding. I also I kind of read that as an on ramp as well. Like, you know, give them easy ways to interact with you and your product and your services, your community.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
I like the word scaffolding. I use it occasionally, and I think that it does paint a good picture. I'm not sure to the chapter exactly, but I like the word. And
So curious,
just saying.
Chris, do you know where the word scaffolding in this context entered your lexicon?
No, I don't actually.
You remember like 20 years ago, it wasn't there. Now it is.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, because I'm sure I didn't think of it on my own. I would have used something like children's building blocks or something would have been the analogy I would have come up with. But scaffolding is just a much more adult, larger infrastructure kind of a word.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's one that he could have written. The way these chapters are broken up, it's interesting to me because it being so small and brief. Excuse me, that somebody could actually write a full chapter with maybe 6 pages on this, and help us to see how we could apply this, implement this right away.
Yeah, wrong book for that. I feel like.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. The small. Yeah. Anyway, I got a lot to say about this. Moving on.
Okay, Chris, while you have the floor, what was your best?
Oh, Alan, I'm so glad you asked me about my best. Can I
Mhm.
combine my best and my worst together?
Sure, I can't stop you.
Okay. So at first, and our intro or my intro was that way. My favorite was the chapter about the Rolls Royces versus Toyota Camrys,
Mhm.
and the analogy was that it was that the definition of equality, in this case, a quality car, can be defined by how much it costs, which is why a Rolls Royce might be considered quality, or it can be defined by the characteristics that a car has. So in the case of a Toyota Camry, you're getting exactly what you thought you were going to get. It's this, every one of them is the same. It is reliable. It shows up on time. That is also the definition of quality. And I understood it. It was simple and it was clear. But the assignment was also to come up with my least favorite chapter.
Interesting.
So actually, let's just pause there because I think these are separate but equal. So I'll wait on that. So my favorite chapter, Alan, I appreciate you asking, was 144, which was a chapter that talked about Rolls Royces and Camrys as simple and clear examples of definition of quality.
And what I feel is happening better in this section of the book is I feel like chapters are connecting a little better these days. I see Jade nodding. I think you mentioned it earlier in the green room as well. The chapters are just connecting better. So suddenly he introduces this concept that, quality is meeting specification. And if you're having trouble getting traction in your strategy, what specification have you set? Because if somebody's looking for a Rolls Royce and you're trying to give them the quality of a Toyota, there's a mismatch there. Toyota outsells Rolls Royce hands over fist because they have matched what people want to what they're getting, what they're delivering. And I made some own notes for our own marketing plan about that.
Mhm.
I can't wait to hear those.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like misunderstand the header on that one. It's misunderstanding quality, and that depends on what your client really wants, right? Whether whether they want prominence or they want something that's convenient or inexpensive. It goes into those different quadrants, and so I thought that was a good chapter as well.
Yeah. Well, and that this call out is also that by definition, a Camry is a higher quality car than a Rolls Royce by definition, because it doesn't vary car to car. They're more identical. They don't break down. They are what they say they are. And by that definition, we should all exclaim that Toyota Camrys are higher quality.
Yeah.
But the tension comes from overcoming the perceived quality just because it costs more.
Yeah.
And that's where we as leaders and we as people who are marketing things have to overcome that perception. What is quality? And we reframe that argument just the way you did by saying reliable, consistent. It is the same, and you can depend on it.
Yeah. And I think we do this all the time. We choose in businesses, we choose services and providers and people sometimes not based on a good definition of what is quality, but for some other reason. And in the case of the Rolls Royce, it's because it's flashy or it's trending or it's what everybody else has, because everybody has a Rolls Royce. And those don't necessarily lead us to success. Those can lead us to failures, actually.
This is similar. Also, I read into this. You talked earlier about systems. Yeah, you can build a system. You can create a whole new paradigm. That's hard. It's long. It's slow. Or you can build a system for systems that already work, that already create. Same with the Toyota, right? He's filling a need that already existed with finding the right market for the product. The right quality level for the product. What is the spec? Because a bunch of people need that spec, and let's deliver that.
Yeah.
He doesn't outright shun doing new stuff. He just reminds you that it's harder to recreate the wheel than it is to utilize systems that are already in play.
Yep.
All right, Jay, what was your fave?
I took a different tack this week in terms of how I read the material, and finally the book is starting to get interesting to me. I'm disappointed it took this long to get into something that actually I felt had some real meat to it. But I looked at it not from delivering product or delivering process, but in the context of developing people, developing leadership, and what that looks like. And so one of the chapters that really stood out to me was 134. Empathy changes the strategy. And when you start looking at people and you start breaking down, okay, why is there resistance? And you start asking the right questions, like, why are they resisting? What are they afraid of? What are they afraid it's going to cost them? And start addressing those needs, particularly with your early adopters and your more exuberant staff members you're trying to train. Start answering those. Start bringing them in. Build a small group that can start bringing in the rest and doing it as they talked about in earlier chapters. Get the early adopters on, and then get the people who follow them. After the early adopters start talking about, okay, this is going to actually work in our organization, and then you finally get the last people who have been there since the company was founded, that are never going to change, finally have to, because everybody else has come on board. But I saw a lot of this much differently, looking at it through that kind of a lens versus process lens.
The early adopters, I think this was the chapter that I finally, it's a chapter. Sometimes I don't think they're chapters.
Paragraph.
It's just paragraph or sentence in some cases. This chapter was where I think the early adopters finally clicked with me, because he's been talking about it for, at this point, 130 some chapters already. And I had a completely different mental image of what that meant. And now I'm seeing it more, well, maybe it's just through a different lens of sort of this whisperer's game, where it's people influencing others in an office that already exists, as an analogy. So it's not the influencers as in TikTok, Instagram influencers necessarily, although we did have an example some number of hundreds of chapters ago where that was the example, but more that people in the office, again, maybe that's not the right analogy, but people in the office have to agree that this is the right path, and then that momentum flows through everything else. And it's almost like everybody has to see that everybody else thinks it's a good idea before I think it's a good idea. It has to flow like a contagion almost.
Right.
Anyway, this for me, Jay, was that chapter where I went, oh, should have led with that.
Exactly. And we had to get 134 chapters in to get to that point.
Well, I mean, and to be fair, some of that's because we were hearing concepts and frameworks in different ways, different lights that some we hate, some we love, and now we suddenly have this common vocabulary to build from. So in that way, I think the author has succeeded in getting us this information, even if some of it we don't like.
Yes.
But if it wasn't for this group, I would have been done at number 10 or 15 and said, there's too many double speaks and unexplained analogies in this that I can't keep going.
Yeah, this is why we have book club, right? To keep us accountable to moving that forward. Hey, maybe this book has less juice in it than other books for the same effort, but that's going to vary for each of us. And why I love having this disparate group of people to read books with.
I think this section makes everything else worth it. I mean, it has definitely got some good meat in this 40 chapters that it kind of pulled everything back into, and so it definitely makes the book worth reading. And I can't wait to see how the rest of the material comes in.
Yeah.
And like, even looking for my favorite, I had difficulty picking a favorite. I definitely marked some as good, some things that were important to me that left an impact on me. So I'm going to tell you the one thing that I was so happy to hear about, and I'm going to call that my favorite chapter. And I keep, Chris last time talking about my extensive notes, and this time I have too much, and I'm having trouble finding what I'm looking for. If you see my eyes darting all over the screen, that's what's happening. But I'm going to go with chapter 145, the challenge in finding useful criticism. This goes back to the concept of know your market, know who you're talking to. Because if you're talking to an early adopter, their needs are different than those who come into the mansion. Early adopters, they don't mind that it's a little buggy and unpolished. I mean, Chris, you were probably really early in AI adoption, right? Trying it out. You didn't mind it was a little buggy. So this is cool. Like, I can see what this can do. Let's see what else I can do, how I can break it. And that's a different market than the people later who want to come like I answered the question. It didn't give me the right answer. I don't like this. Why am I paying for it? Different market. And it's because Chris can also see what it will become and what that trajectory looks like. And so what I highlighted in this chapter is the real question is, how do we make the spec better? Meaning who we're designing this for, the specifications. We're not asking if you like it. We're asking for your feedback for the kind of person we seek to serve. Even when I wrote my book, Jay, I don't know how your editing process was, but if I showed a chapter to the wrong person too early, I was like, dude,
exactly.
I'm going to give this example because it was infuriating. I didn't give it a title at first. Let me see how the book develops before I give it a title. And then I sent it out. And the first question my first peers reviewed it was, like, what's the title?
Yeah.
And so the second one, I was like, okay, there is no title. Read the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
And they came back, what's the title? So then I put the world's stupidest title ever there to stop getting that feedback, which is, it's still the title, by the way, it's stuck. World's stupidest title is the real thing. But I was sending it to the wrong audience, right?
Yeah.
They weren't looking at what it could become for that stage of feedback. I had the wrong specification for what I needed. So that's why chapter 145 meant a lot to me.
Yeah, Alan, when you look at that, and I'll put it in the context of our scaffolding, kind of going back to that in building, you have people who can see a set of blueprints and visually see what that's going to turn into. You have the next group of people that need a 3D model so they can see. And then you have some people who will not understand what you're doing until it's completely built. And that's kind of the process that we have. And when I did the same kind of writing, I was giving it to people who wanted to see the building built and finished. And you don't get good feedback when you do that. You have to get it to somebody who can look at a blueprint and say, I see where you're going. It's a good material, but let me help you tweak it as we go along. And that's all you're asking for, is that little tweak, and not the yes or no. Is it a good book or not? It's like,
or in that stage, somebody who can look at the blueprint and go, hey, there's something missing here.
Right.
Or this part's good. Keep it no matter what.
You need a door there.
Yeah. Oh, didn't think about door. That happens, right? That's. But finding who that market, who that audience is what I find what I found universally critical for me.
Yeah, Alan, I like that you pointed that out because I see the same situation regarding market research when you're trying to call like-minded people for a new product or service that you're doing, and you really want their input, you want their feedback, and you want to know if it's something, if the prices sound right, things like that. But if you're talking to the wrong person, you're basically barking down the wrong tree. You could be doing that for months on
Yeah,
end.
and I apologize. I might fail to quote a chapter number here, but there's definitely this recurring theme of start with a narrow audience, right? Find that specification for who you're going to meet. The riches are in the niches. But so many of us launch a new product, a new service, a new idea, new ideal by trying mass appeal. And the fact is that that's putting the cart before the horse. You can't do mass appeal first. A few probably have. Mr. Beast, right? Number one subscribed YouTuber in the world. And he started off doing little Twitch gaming videos and, got a few views, and he kept tweaking the formula. There was even this radio ad in the 90s. I remember driving through Savannah, Georgia, and it was famous artists would come on and say inspirational quotes. And this was, maybe it was Alicia Keys or somebody who says, "My overnight success, 15 years in the making." Right? You can't start with mass appeal. You got to find, serve that 1 to 10 people first.
Yep.
And I can't think of, I don't have the specific chapter in front of me, but it reminded me of the research paper that was written clear back in, what was it, the 60s or 70s, that has taken almost 50 years for it to be one of the most quoted research papers. But initially, nobody was quoting it. And it took forever for people to actually look at it.
Well, to be fair, it was quoted early, just not often. And it was like a couple of times a year. The next thing you know, it was 10 times a year. And it just kept expounding. Yeah. That was a good one. Now, you guys have probably heard my least favorite chapters in before were usually these random lists of things. And I'm going to make an exception this time. Chapter 147 was a list of questions. Yes, it was hard to listen to in the audiobook, a little easier to read. But in summary, I would like every business person or anybody creating a strategy to use this list of questions as a workbook. So it's a very dense chapter. I'm sorry, I don't have my summary really good, but it's a very dense chapter of things you should be asking about your product to get your product adopted, to get that initial audience together. So I would literally make a bullet point, and whatever it is you're trying to strategize about, answer the questions.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, that one is
other list. Sorry, Shannon, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to tell you that. So that 147 is what we ask ourselves when it's our turn on the curve.
So wait, this was your favorite or your least favorite?
I was just saying that usually a big list in this book has been my least favorite. This time it was not. It was hard to read, but looking at it, we should copy and paste this, put it in our marketing playbook, and use it.
Well, that wasn't the assignment, Alan. You were supposed to find your least favorite. You can't turn that around and say my second favorite was this giant list, which would have been my least favorite, but it was a list.
Chris, I just proved you wrong.
Yeah. If only there were a chat.
But I also think I really do feel like our worst and least is a talking prompt to get us started, and we've done that.
Well, my least was the 126, which was the if you want to start a fire. And I'm going to go ahead and read it because mine tend to be the very short ones that don't end with anything concrete, which was perhaps you learned to build a campfire as a kid. You need logs, certainly, but you'll also need kindling. The bigger the logs, the more kindling. The wetter the wood, the more kindling. Our strategy fails every time the size of the log exceeds our supply of kindling. This one, I just equivalent of an audiobook mic drop and walked away because I had no idea what a kindling was, what a log was, what was going on. So in typical AI fashion, I turned to Claude, and this then became my favorite chapter, Alan. Because Claude points out that the next chapter, 127, lists 5 practical things that that Claude thinks are kindling. Things that are, and also defining what the log is. That the log is your sequence, and the kindling is small things that are supporting your sequence or the scaffolding. Small wins, more wins, people caring, all of that good stuff are the kindling. So, and then Claude, in all of its wisdom, I just should have it actually do my job for me, pulls out chapter 141 and says that the Catch-22 chapter is what happens when people skip kindling and try to just light the log directly.
That mass market, yeah.
Yep, just go straight to market. That you can be successful in one of two ways. You can either spend tons of money, or you can build a proper fire with kindling and grow the fire. So that's now my new favorite chapter, mostly because I finally am drawing some form of connection to all of the doublespeak in all of these chapters, and the littered unexplained analogies have finally come clear when I apply AI to this. So, I'm going to use Claude now to help with these Where's Waldo challenges to try to understand what logs and kindling are.
And we are not sponsored by Anthropic, but we could be.
Yeah, Anthropic, if you're listening, good sponsorship opportunity. Happy to help.
Chris, we are actually super short on time. Do you want to pull us to how we apply this?
How do we apply this?
This one went fast, I felt like.
Yeah. I don't know. Shannon needs to take this one. It's summer here, and I don't know how to apply kindling and logs.
Yeah, I don't either.
All right, so
I just
Best
thought
application of kindling and logs is you put stakes over the top of them.
Yeah.
there you go. So here's the prompt. Someone watching this is heading into work. Based on these 40 chapters we read, 121 through 160, what is the one thing they should do differently today?
Oh, good Lord.
Focus on the early adopters.
Focus on the
that
early
small group that can help you build and let them market your next level.
I agree with you completely, Jay. I would say that's 100% what I'm taking out of this, and I'm going to go do differently.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think that's it for me too. It's the start small kindling analogy. Start, build your fire, build your backing, build your ideas, and find the right people that are going to burn the log.
Yep.
All right.
It's not only the right questions, but the right questions to the right people.
Yep.
The right people. That's the key. Absolutely.
So next week we're going to cover chapters 161 through 200. We might also be setting some world record for a book with the most chapters. We'll have to look into that later. We'll get our research intern on that. So team, come prepared with your favorite chapters and your least favorite chapters. Alan can also come up with your least favorite chapter that turned into your favorite chapter. And don't forget to also bring the why with you. If you're watching us online, please make sure you like and subscribe to your favorite channel to get notified when the streaming starts. We're on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Thank you to our guest host, Jay, for being here. We're glad to have you back. Thank you to Alan and Shannon for being here as well, and our sponsors, MSP Hire and Sedaris Agency. We will be back here next Thursday at noon Pacific, the same time, the same place. Bring your book, bring your thoughts, and we will see you then. Thank you.